What is going on, you guys? This is Josh from Josh and Ruins. You can add me on PS4. This is the first ever episode of Flashback Fridays, and I am playing Doom. This pretty much the gist of this is what I'll do is come on here and play some cool ass games and talk about a crazy ass story every Friday that happened to me. The story didn't necessarily happen on a Friday, but yeah, you get the picture. Okay, so I'll start it off. This one's a pretty crazy story. It was pretty much one of the first times I ever encountered a ghost. Well, I say it's a ghost. Some may argue, but you know, let you be the judge of that. So here we go. Okay, so I work at a restaurant. I am not going to say which, and I'm not going to say what I do. So pretty much what I was doing when this night as I was closing, we get off at like 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning. And there's 3 of us there. So I start my job. There's no one there except for me and 2 other people. You know, I'm doing what I need to be doing, and all of a sudden we hear the hand dryer in the men's restroom turn on. And by this point we are like, okay, you know, these things happen. You know, whatever. We didn't really think much of it, and kind of just went on with our business. It kind of stopped every once in a while, and I was, you know, just to be clear, I was the only male in that restaurant that night, and telling you right now, there was no customers in there, and I checked, and there was no customers. So anyway, yeah, that was a little trippy at first. We were like, okay, whatever, it happens. So we progressed throughout the night, and you know, we look over and we see the mouse on our POS system, which is what we use to take orders with. We see that thing going crazy, like somebody was putting their finger on it and moving the mouse around, like, and no one was touching it. So we were pretty like, okay, this is another weird thing, but you know, whatever, it happens again. So you know, we go on with our night, doing our thing, and you know, we're waiting. You know, I'm in the middle of doing what I need to be doing, and all of a sudden, out of nowhere, no one was standing by the light switch, but the lights just turn off, and they are on a set timer, but they were not set to turn off till about 2:30, and by this time it was about 1 o'clock. Because I had just started doing what I needed to be doing, which was, you know, scheduled to be at 1 o'clock. Yeah, so the light switches turned off. I asked my manager, like, hey, why'd you turn the light switches off? And she responds from the office, which is completely on the other side of the building. Yeah, I didn't touch it. And she thought it was me, and I was nowhere near it. I was on the complete other side as well. You know, off to the right or the left of it. I didn't touch it though. Neither did my other coworker who was doing dishes or whatever, you know, something stupid. So we progressed throughout the night, doing our job, doing our thing, and you know, out of nowhere, we you know, we just, you know, we were just standing there talking, and this box thing, metal casing, whatever you want to call it, that was carrying our tools at the time, it just literally like comes off of the, you know, what it was sitting on, and flies up against the wall and slams down on the floor. And by this point we were losing our freaking minds, and I'm not scared of really anything, but this freaked me out. And my other coworker, who was especially freaked out, was like, okay, yeah, it's time to go. Yeah, we need to get out of here. And you know, we were, you know, we were trying to investigate like what it could have been, and we could not figure this out. This thing was, you had to literally have force pushed this thing off of the where it was sitting and thrown it against the wall. Like, if it, you know, things do fall in that place all the time, like it's no big deal, but this thing was thrown against the wall, which couldn't have happened by just sliding off where it was. It would have just fallen straight to the ground. This thing had flown against the wall and crashed down on the floor, all dramatic. So, you know, by this time, you know, we were getting ready to leave. getting all done with what we needed to do, and you know, we start to. I started to break down some boxes in the back by myself, and I hear this lady like walking around outside the doorway, which is where I was located. You know, pretty much where I was there. I was right up against a door, and the door leads straight to the outside. And next to where I was in the part of the building, there's a big open field right next to it, and a lot of homeless like to congregate over there. They like to do whatever they do, and they sleep over there because it's pretty safe or whatever. And sometimes they do wander up on our property up in the early hours of the morning and walk by. I didn't really think anything of it. I just thought there was a homeless woman out there. She was going crazy, just walking around outside the door, just whatever. It's happened before, actually, surprisingly. We didn't really think much of it. I just heard her. I want to say she was either crying or singing, but I couldn't really tell. But she was pacing back and forth in front of the door, and it was really tripping me out because I had never heard anything like that before. So I told my manager, hey, there's we got a girl outside the door. Check the cameras. He said, yep. So we walk over there and look at the cameras, and there is no one fucking standing outside that doorway. Not anybody. There's no one outside whatsoever. So we were like, all right, emergency closing procedures, which was the closer who would go outside and drive around and see what we can find or whatever, see if there's anybody out there, and if there is someone out there, we pull our car up against the back it up against the doorway and call the police and let them handle it. But I had went to go and clock out, and my manager was still in the back, and I walked back there and asked her, hey, are you ready? And she's like, dude, I heard it. I heard the woman, she said it was either singing or crying, like I said. And by this point, she had no idea what this was. So we're tripping out, like, because now she heard it too. It wasn't just me. So, I'm tripping out. We're all tripping out. We're ready to leave. So I clock out, walk about 60 feet up out in the darkness by myself into my car, and it was pretty crazy. I wouldn't want to do that again after what we just seen, but it had to be done. So I had to keep my girls safe. So I get in the car, I drive around. This had all happened in the span of like 3 minutes from the time I had heard her to the time that I had got to my car. It had been 3 minutes, so there would have been somebody out there by the time I was still there, or at least somebody walking away from the scene, and I would have been able to see it because there was one light over that door, and there was no one there when I looked. There was no one even in the area except for me, and I was not standing outside the door laughing or crying or whatever she was doing. Yeah, there was no one there. So I drive around, still no one on the property whatsoever. I back my car up into the one of the parking spots, I guess you want to call it, and I flash my lights letting them know, hey, it's all good, he's good to go. I had never seen my coworkers run as fast as they can to their cars. They were tripping out. They were ready to fucking go home. They didn't want to deal with any ghost stories. So I come to work the next day, and I was still pretty tripping. And I tell my boss, I was like, hey, we heard all kinds of crazy shit last night. Like, I think it was a ghost. And she started to tell me this weird story. She was like, yeah, it's weird, before this I was cleaning out some garage and some boxes just flew off at me or something like that. Something weird with boxes in a garage. I can't even remember. I have to ask her again. But yeah, it had something to do with that, and I was tripping out even more because now, okay, she had something paranormal happen to her last night. And I want to say, what happened to us was paranormal, but, I believe in ghosts, of course, but you know, I've never had anything like that happen to me. I've had some pretty weird stuff, but I never came that close, you know. So we were all kind of freaked out, and we were like, okay, this place is haunted as hell. And so that day, I was working, right, and I was doing what we call food prep. You know, I was prepping all this stuff, and there was a bin in the corner, like Rex, filled with ice cold water in the freezer. You know, I'm doing my thing, and there's no way that this could have came off the shelf without somebody touching it, and I was the only one in there. This bin flies off the shelf and covers me in freezing water. So now I have to work for the rest of the day frozen. So I'm like, fucking fantastic. Yeah, it was I've already had some crazy shit happen. But yeah, that's pretty much the gist of what happened there with the ghost story. If you like these stories, or you know that I'm about to tell, you know, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, share it, you know, whatever they do nowadays. Add me on PS4 and suggest what games you think I should play. I think next week I'll talk about the time I almost drowned. Maybe I'll play Uncharted 4 or something like that. Yeah, coming up here on the end of the video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Yeah, let me know in the comment section below what you guys think I should do, talk about, you know, play. Add me on PS4, Josh and Ruins, and I will hopefully see you guys soon. I get my ass whipped right there.